Alright, what we're gonna do is go back. Way back. Well, kinda. We'll start with Buxom and Mogg. Together they had 9 children, 6 girls followed by 3 boys. They named their youngest daughter Maggie. She married Fred. They had 2 sons and 1 daughter. I am the oldest of them. I'm Kendrick.
The middle boy, they named Herbie. Well, his name is Aubrey, but we'll get into that later. He married Deborah, and they had 3 girls. I am the oldest of them. I'm Tawana.
The first girl and oldest of Buxom and Mogg's children was named Blossom. She married a man named Eugene. Well, we call him Gene. And they had 9 kids, between them 7 boys and 2 girls. The oldest girl was named Myra, and she married David, and they had 3 kids, 2 boys, and the oldest was a girl, and that's me, Simone.
Of Blossom and Gene's kids, the tallest of the boys was Jerome. He married Juanita, and they had 2 sons, the oldest of which was actually the first grandchild that the 2 would share, and that's me, Will, but they call me Gene. So, y'all catch all that? Anyway, hey cousin!
Well, welcome back to Hey Cousin. We are back and we're having a real good discussion, or starting a real good discussion about generational wealth. Now, I think right now is like the time to really have this discussion for the simple fact that technology is kind of changing the landscape of the world. So understanding money and how to generate your own income, things of those that nature, and keep it for generations is definitely a conversation I think we need to, kind of throw around more in mixed company, as they say. Just to kind of really understand that we're not going to be competitive at all in this whole race thing if you don't have any wealth. You know what I'm saying? I think, I don't want to misquote it, but I think Black people in 2020, I think it was 1.8 trillion in spending. 1.8 trillion in spending. And what were we, 10% of the population? So we definitely need to kind of look at, getting past the whole looking like you got it versus actually building a foundation that you'll always have it. So that's my opening to the whole wealth conversation. But we've had this conversation, many of us many times on different aspects. But I think it's one of those things that it's the first part of the building block to rebuild like the Black family, the Black community, and making us competitive in this whole world market that we're starting to transition into from the old age of doing things.
Kind of piggybacking off of what you kind of introduced us with, being the 3rd generation, it's like every 3 generations actually have an opportunity to bring wealth consciousness to their family. And we are the 3rd generation. So I think the separation of being the 3rd generation, it makes, we are born in a time where, if you think about every 3rd generation, they were born in a time that their grandparents and parents weren't born in. So the opportunities were different for them. Right. So it's the same thing for us. We're the 3rd generation, separated from a huge family tree, I'm sure. Hopefully throughout this process, I'm hoping that we actually get to kind of dig into that. But I started a financial services business back in 2019 because of that. And one of the ways a lot of families create generational wealth is through a life insurance policy. A lot of stores, a lot of brand name stores, McDonald's, Nordstrom, a lot of stores actually started from that seed money of a life insurance policy. Right. So I think when we first started talking about all of the things that we're talking about, we started out saying, you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't know what you don't know, and somebody else knows something that you need to know, then you're supposed to pair up with that person. Sure. and get and receive from them. So I think it's important for people to understand how different systems and instruments are used as far as a vehicle when it comes to wealth. Planning is one of the, I think, I'm not trying to turn this into a lecture or anything like that. This is a conversation, but I think a lot of people are afraid of generational wealth because you don't know where to start. You don't know where to begin. You don't know what to do. You've never seen it. So when somebody come at you, especially when it has something to do with your money, you're gonna be guarded anyway, number one. But just like you should be open-minded with spirituality, you need to be open-minded with your finances, because there are many different ways and vehicles and things that you could do to achieve generational wealth.
Now, Tawana, okay, so my question for you is just to kind of pick your brain a little bit, because this is what you do. As soon as you mentioned about the life insurance piece, it was like, yeah, like, I mean, I've heard stories of, you know, oh, my grandma passed me down this house, or my grandma passed me down, you know, $20,000 that she had saved up, yada, yada, yada. But I also understand that in our community, it's a huge stigma around life insurance and preparation for someone after their demise. You know what I'm saying? And how do you, since this is something that you do every day, because I'm sure that a lot of our listeners need to bring this conversation to the table to at least get the ball rolling. So how do you then align that with when you have like possible clients that you're bringing on that look like us? How do you get them out of that defense mode of like, oh, somebody gonna try to off me for the life insurance money, you know what I'm saying, to, yo, this is actually something that could benefit your family after you leave? And honestly, doesn't everyone want that?
I think relativity is what I do. So I make it very relatable. I try not to speak over their heads. I try to meet them exactly where they are. And I get in real life situations. As far as I have Newsbreak comes to my phone all day, especially in Atlanta. Y'all won't believe, first of all, the stats of death. 150,000 people die per day. That's the first thing. So when coronavirus hit, no shade on coronavirus, and it was like, oh, 50,000 people have died from coronavirus over the last 2 weeks. I'm like, that ain't.
And that's exactly what I was asking. I was like, well, how many people die every day already?
150,000. And let me tell you why the world
People die every day, B.
People die
obviously.
every day by the busload, but people are born every day by the busload. 334,000, if I'm not mistaken, fact check me. But 300 and something plus thousand people are born, babies are born every day. So, in understanding that, you know, the 150,000 that's going away, coming right back into it's like a revolving door, actually. Because one thing about it, and two things for sure, you gon' die. That is for certain. And the thing about it is you don't know when. So you need to plan for that. Why not plan for that? And another way I kind of off guard them is life insurance isn't the old life insurance. Like, oh, you can use this money when your daddy died. This will be money we have. Life insurance has evolved to actually help people while they're sick, if they're terminally ill, cancer, or any type of, any type of ailments. When you old, let me tell you something. If you live to 62 and retire, most people are retiring early because of generational wealth. But if you live to 62 and you live until 85 or 90 years old, you can have a healthy life, but some stuff gonna break down. This body is flesh. It's not, it's a mat. I don't want to go deep, but y'all know what I'm saying. So if you're gonna live till you 85, why not protect your health with something that has a benefit? So I kind of just make it relative and relatable and make it something that if you can understand that this is something that you need, and it's not like a luxury item. It's not like going out here and having subscriptions to all these dang people that take $120 some out my account every month. Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime. If that can come out of your account, if you can have a subscription, there's no reason why you shouldn't have life insurance. And I have that kind of conversation with them. So that's how I make it relatable. I make it relative. I explain to them like, y'all, that's how most other cultures, they are open-minded when it comes to things when it's concerning their finances. And we all can attest to that. And we have to be open to have a conversation. How many people has been murdered this year? 6 degrees of separation. I'm telling you, you know somebody that done died this year. You know somebody, aunt or granddaddy or niece, coming into the new year, a little baby girl, 6 years old, was shot in the head. Your baby should have insurance on his life at 14 days old. That's the kind of stuff. I feed them information, because if you don't know, you're not gonna know what to do. So that's my speech. What other avenues of generational wealth can you all add to the conversation?
Basically, I'm in a state right now where I'm looking into real estate, because I was a homeowner relatively young in the grand scheme of things. I owned my home a month after I turned 28. I closed on this house. The reason being was I was just having a conversation with some friends at the time who did not look like me, who their conversations, I'm telling y'all, the things that they talk about just casually are so far out of our reach on an everyday level. Like, they talk about real estate, they talk about trusts, they talk about investments in their homes. This is not something that they have to go to YouTube to research. These are the things that they're brought up talking about in the house, where we are in a child's place in the house. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, our whole household is in a child's place as it pertains to finances a lot of the time. You know what I'm saying? But when I was having this conversation with them, we were sitting in a brunch location, and it was like, yeah, I mean, all the things that's about to happen here, yada, yada, yada. It would be great to like invest in this area. And I had heard things similar to that before, but never a one-to-one conversation with somebody actually talking about it. So what I did was something clicked for me, and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to do that, because I was in an apartment at the time, and I was like, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here, but I cannot be afraid to be quote unquote stuck in a house in order to keep paying rising rents every single year. And I knew that that was the constant, because from me being on my own after graduation from college to that time where I was 27 and actually 26, and that was when I left out of the apartments, and like I took a year off to save and look for my house or whatever. But in that time frame, my rent had probably gone up maybe to the tune of about $400, because every year legally your landlord can raise the rent a certain percentage of what they're charging you. And I knew with a mortgage that wouldn't happen anymore. I would just be paying what I'm paying until I decide to refinance, or I decide to take money out of the equity of my home or something like that. So I was like, worst case scenario, at least I'll have property here, and it'll be something in my house, in my lineage, that can never go away, right? So I went search for a home in a transitioning area, in an area where I knew gentrification was coming. One of the things that is a large talking topic in our communities is gentrification, and how these white people are coming back to our neighborhoods, and they're buying up all the houses, and they're pushing us out. But guess what? They can't push you out of something that you own comfortably. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between owning and owning something comfortably. The issue is, a lot of the times they come to these neighborhoods where somebody's grandma, somebody's great aunt has owned that home outright for 20, 30 years, because it was only $10,000 to $20,000 to buy back in the 70s, and they did it. You know what I'm saying? But the house has been in the hood, so all they have to do now is pay the property taxes. The thing is, as soon as that first white person moves into your neighborhood with a $400,000 house, your property tax is going to start going up. So instead of paying maybe $600 a year for property taxes, your property taxes might double to where you're paying $1,200 a year. And for an older woman or an older man or an older family on a fixed income, that might be a stretch to get done. So what I'm saying is, if you find a situation to get into a home, to own a home, make sure that you know your rights, you know that your area is about to burgeon the way that these areas typically burgeon. As soon as you get in there, you get inside your four walls, and make sure that you have a plan and you know the options that are available to you. So even with sometimes those older people, the city doesn't necessarily want to look like they're pushing us out so quickly once the neighborhoods start to get gentrified. So a lot of the times they have programs for these older people that can't afford the property taxes. They have subsidy programs where it's like, hey, your property taxes got doubled or tripled in a year and you're on a fixed income. If you can prove that to us as the city, we can help you out with that other part so you don't have to lose your house. But a lot of the times they don't know any better. They don't know that there's help out there. So they end up losing their homes to the first person that's going to wave a couple $100,000 in their face, even knowing that that couple $100,000 is a drop in the bucket to what that house is going to be worth 5-10 years down the line. And this is something that I've seen firsthand because I closed on this house in 2014, right? And in that time frame, I've always been looking at the environment. I've always been looking at the house sales. I've always been looking at the comps just to keep abreast on what the value of my home is, so that nobody could ever come and tell me, oh, your house is only worth such and such. Because I tell you, the day that I moved in here, I started receiving these cards in the mail saying like, hey, we'll buy your house cash for no confusion, no fuss, no muss. And that's what they do. When you're Black and you have an asset that is of value, they will try to devalue that asset and give you some quick money, because we've been used to quick money because we haven't retained money through the generations. So if you hear, oh, I'll buy your house for $100,000 today, little do you know your house is really worth, if you upgraded the windows, $200,000. You know what I'm saying? If you put a little bit of money into your house could be worth way more than they're even offering you for the house, but you've never seen $100,000. So $100,000 is something that can sway you out of your blessing, out of your generational worth generational worth and generational wealth starting up, right? So for me, it's all about real estate. I've seen houses go from being $70,000 on average to where now the house could be a slum, but in this area, it's going for $350,000. And guess what? A white person is going to readily pay for it because it's under 10 miles from uptown, under 5 miles from uptown, which is prime real estate now. But they're going to readily pay for it. They're going to throw in $200,000 into that house, and the house is going to be worth $1 million by the time they're done with it. So real estate for me, seeing firsthand from trying to buy a home against investors, because they always know way before we know. They know the things that are on the horizon because they are abreast with the changes that are coming to pass in the city. They are in bed with the lawmakers that are making these laws and inviting these big companies to certain opportunity zones in the area. They know about the tax breaks that can happen if they open up these commercial businesses within these opportunity zones, these Black neighborhoods. And so what's happening is they're making money off of you by coming into your neighborhood and starting something up. And they know that by the next 5-10 years, it won't even be your neighborhood no more, but they still get that tax break, right? So for me, real estate has become a huge passion of mine, to the fact where I've started listening to different people talk about real estate. And there was one thing that I'll share with the listeners that I'll never forget that I wish I would have done. I went to Howard in 2004, right? And I went off to DC, and for 2 years I stayed on campus, and then after that I got off campus. And one of the things that a person that I listened to YouTube, his dad said, okay, whenever you go to school, what you're going to do is you're going to buy a home, right? You're going to put down the 3.5% for a first time homeowner's loan, and you're going to fill up that room with your friends who are also looking to stay off campus in a home. So they're paying you rent in that home to where you're actually probably staying there for free. You know what I'm saying? Because all the rent from each room is yours, and your mortgage isn't that much, because realistically, mortgages honestly are more than likely less than what anyone listening to this call is paying for rent. If you're paying rent $900, that's mortgage on like 130,000, 100 and no, actually, I'm so sorry. $900 is probably mortgage on a $200,000 home. So you could have a home that's worth about $200,000 and be paying $900 a month, just like you're paying that in rent. So what this dad told his kid was like, all right, you're going to be a landlord the second that you get off campus and move into this home. And you could do the same thing with multi-units. If you want maybe a duplex, you could think of it in the same style, right? And then he says, once you graduate though, you still have a constant pipeline because you are however many miles away from campus. There's always going to be someone looking to stay off campus to get that off campus experience. So you'll never have to worry about an empty room or an empty house or an empty unit in your home. So that's always going to incur you money. And if I would have known that moving to DC in 2004, I don't know if y'all have been to DC lately. They used to call DC the chocolate city. DC is not that no more. DC is like the $1 million baby of the US of A. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's completely gentrified. We used to have to, like, you know, guard our little book bags kind of tight walking up to campus from the metro. And now there's a Whole Foods on Georgia Avenue. Are you kidding me? If I would have known that, to have a piece of property where I was just randomly staying, just paying, you know, them, I paid that man, y'all, it was 4 of us in this apartment, this little tiny apartment. I can't even tell you how many square feet it was because we were too young to even realize that that was a thing, right? But it was 4 of us staying there, and my cut alone was like, I think it was like $600. So dude was getting like $2,400 a month off of us for rent. And this was for 1 unit in the triplex that he had. There were 2 other units in this house. So I could only imagine what this place is worth now. But if I would have had that mindset, if somebody would have had this conversation with me beforehand and allowed me to see that there is more than just paying your money to somebody to live somewhere, I could have been sitting on a gold mine in DC as well. Even though I've gone on and lived life and done things different places, I could have still had that time base, because one of the most important things as it pertains to real estate is time. If you are able to make the leap today, I almost can guarantee you that it will be worth something more tomorrow, in a year from now, in 10 years from now, because the only thing that is about real estate, you can't make no more land. That's it. Like, once that runs out, it runs out. But that's my piece.
That was dope, Junie. I made some quick mental notes. I ain't gonna talk long, I promise. Y'all can go. Number 1, land and gold are like the highest commodity when it comes to investments.
Ownership is the bottom line. So own something of value that's going to, you know, increase in value. I think we got taught to kind of follow the whole American dream process of doing certain things, but you didn't get like the cliff notes. Because before I bought my first house, I would have just bought a multi-unit joint that would have paid for my house, versus you buy assets first and then you start buying liability. And we kind of taught, okay, well, you should buy a house. Well, if you understand assets and liabilities, you understand why a house isn't an asset until you pay for it or until it's paying you. So these little small nuances in detail, again, it's not really an excuse, because now the information is out there like by the busload. With everything else, you have to kind of like walk the path, because the way this person does it, that's for you. But at the same time, the fundamentals of every game is pretty much the same. You just got to find out how you best play it. But ownership, definitely.
I wanted to piggyback on everything that everybody said. First of all, I really want to dive into the fact that Junie, you were talking about real estate. Well, my overall answer is having multiple streams of income. That's really what's important. I mean, you can say one thing, this other thing, as long as you have multiple streams of income that you can handle, you'll be fine in this world, honestly. And that will create generational wealth. Honestly, generational wealth is not even, I don't even want to limit it to just it being financial. That's also mental, spiritual, emotional. You have to be able to pass these things down to your children. You know what I'm saying? So if you have a bad habit of having a bad attitude or bad energy or something like that, that's going to pass down to your children. So you have to kind of clean that type of stuff up before you even delve into that. But anyways, another thing I did want to add to that, definitely real estate, because Junie was the first one that put me on the idea of not getting a house, because I think I came to Charlotte one time just to see him, and he was letting me know, because I was just like telling him like, yo, I'm taking these classes to see if I can get these home ownership loans, and you know, I just want to get the single. He was like, nah, man, like, I'm gonna tell you what I wish somebody told me, just get a multi-family house and rent that thing out. And then that just opened the door for me, for real. Like, ever since then, I started going on YouTube, looking on videos to see how to do that. And then that led to other things, like how you can just flip houses, like through wholesale, without using your money, without using your own credit. Like, there's so that just blows my mind how many times, like how much money there is to be made out here.
I want to kind of piggyback on what you guys are saying. One of the things Junie was saying was with real estate, time. He said time. One thing about money is that it grows over time. I don't care if you put that thing away, even if you put it in, I'm not going to get into variable accounts or whatever, but money grows in three ways: fixed, index, and variable. Everybody know variable, up and down, in and out, heart attack, diabetes, stroke, whatever. That's variable. You can lose it all in one day. Index is safe from any market downturns. So one of the products that I sell for life insurance is called IUL, Index Universal Life Policy. Not only does it give you life benefit, but it also gives you cash benefit. So I have two on my sons because I need to use that to save money, because I don't have no pension, no retirement, none of that coming to me. I'm getting $1,200. I would pull it out, but we ain't got time for that. I'm getting $1,200 from Social Security in my retirement. What the hell is $1,200 going to do for me at 62? And guess what? It's 40%. It's supposed to be 40% of my income in retirement. So you mean to tell me the other 60 I got to save up? Yeah, because I ain't getting no pension.
And you talking about Social Security, you ain't getting that either.
Is that?
Yeah,
you
because
get
that's gonna
that.
be run out.
The
They gonna give you
$1,200.
an IOU.
You
Nah,
gonna
shorty.
be here?
Nah, you ain't gonna worry about that
Everybody
either.
says that. It's not gonna be here. But the one thing about money is that it grows over time. And like Simone said, whatever you decide, the reason it grows over time is because you got to know what kind of account to put it in so that it can compound interest. Real estate, compound interest. Index accounts, compound interest. You can start with $10,000 a day, and 30 years later, you have $200 and some $1,000.
And you don't have to really take that long, really, if you understand compound interest.
Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Fact checked it, y'all. I'm telling y'all, these are different strategies that you have to kind of start digging into, start going down those rabbit holes. Y'all, we don't only talk about religion and spirituality and this and that. You got to have a completely holistic, balanced approach when you're dealing with life. And this conversation today is so needed because there's so many things we don't know. The last thing I want to say is we've been learning about real estate since we have been kids through Monopoly. It is the easiest way to teach you about location. Everybody wanted what, y'all? What everybody want?
Broadway.
Atlantic?
No.
Oh, Broadway, okay.
Broadway.
Boardwalk.
Yeah, on Broadway.
Everybody want Boardwalk. Everybody want Park Place. Everybody do want. People want the yellow, the green, and the blue. That's what you want because of the location, because of the rents. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Yeah. So we've been learning. So that's a great beginner way to learn about real estate. But what else, Junie? You see, like you wanted to jump in.
Yeah, I wanted to actually add to what Simone was saying. She was saying like, I wish like she wished that somebody would. Well, she was glad that somebody was able to tell her about house hacking when I was able to share that with her. And the crazy thing about it, y'all, just for everyone that's listening too, is my real estate agent, who was actually God sent, a middle-aged white woman, just kind, you know what I'm saying? But the whole time that we were looking for houses, every time she would be like, yeah, I mean, but you know, you could also like, you know, you're young, you could rent out one of these rooms and that can help pay down your rent. Or she even took me to some multi-family homes, like, but one side was like 900 square feet, the other side was 900 square feet. I was in an apartment that was like 960 square feet, not including a balcony, right? That's what I had come from and was about to try to transition into a home that was much bigger. I had an ideal of what I wanted in my head, but the thing is, she was giving me the gems, but my ego wouldn't allow me to take them at the time, and wouldn't allow me to take them. I'm like, as I'm unpacking it, I feel like maybe it's because it was coming from a middle-aged white woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe it was like, no, I'm about to be, this young with my own home. I need that square footage. Like, I need my own space. I don't want to rent no more. I don't want to deal with other people right now. And like, all of those things, y'all, held me back to the point where I could have, there was one house that was well within my budget. I know I could have gotten it, but I walked away from it because I thought 900 square feet for just me was too small. I was like, no, that's too tiny. Like, I need a house. I'm trying to go to a house, so I wanted to feel like a house. But when I tell y'all, I saw that same listing come back up probably about a month ago, and I was looking for houses to the tune of like 70 grand at the time. This same place, right? This same duplex went on the market for like $350,000 a month ago. You mean to tell me if I would have gotten out of my own stupid way, right? And been like, nah, I'm gonna just sit and I'm gonna sit in this 900 square foot and I'm gonna rent this thing out. By now, I could have probably been paid that $70,000 off, first of all, because each year the rent would have been rising and rising and rising and rising. Right now, the going rent in my area is like $1,200 to $1,500. Now, $1,200 to $1,500 a month, paying off a $70,000 like bill, like that's done like that. You know what I'm saying? But I let my ego, I let that thing that for whatever reason is instilled within our people that says, I need the foreign, I need to show people that I'm doing well, I need the square footage, I need this well manicured garden, I need all of these things to show people how good I'm doing. If I would have allowed that to just be fodder in the background and not pay no attention to it and listen to someone that was actually trying to give me the jewels at that moment, I could have been set up. Like, first of all, I would have always still owned it, because one thing that I did tell myself before I bought a house was I'm never selling this house. You know what I'm saying? My son will have this house. My all my other kids will have this house, and it will be an income property once I decide to move on to whatever's next. But I'm telling you, it would have I probably wouldn't even have to work, honestly. You know what I'm saying? I would have had this thing paying me my monthly expenses, and I cannot stress enough. I'm a black man. I'm a relatively youngish black man. My knees telling me otherwise day by day. But listen, if y'all need to hear it from somebody that look like y'all, this is me. If you have the opportunity, please put your pride to the side, put your ego to the side, your future self, your older self, because I can't do that no more. I got a son, I got a wife. Ain't no way we about to pile into a 900 square foot nothing for that amount of time. It was easy back when I was young and out here, but I can't do that now. You know what I'm saying? That door is relatively closed for all intents and purposes. But if you have the opportunity, please do it. You will definitely thank yourself later for doing so.
Yeah, you're definitely right, Julie. Because I mean, same issue. A lot of things we're big on symbolism as a culture. You know what I'm saying? So you get into the game and you want to look like you're a player, but you don't understand the rules. So when you think if you're like flashing like your trophy, people who understand the game, they're like, "What an idiot!" Because we're lacking the understanding before we kind of get into things, because we just kind of want to jump in at what we saw somebody else at. But I think the biggest thing, education, then ownership. But you have to educate yourself, and you have to kind of move like you need to move, not how you think somebody else think you should be moving for your situation.
It's not too late, and that's important. So many different tools: cryptocurrency, real estate, financial services, IRAs, putting your money in different accounts that'll grow it over time. There's just so many different ways. We're talking heavily about instruments such as real estate and insurance, because those are like some of the, like if you look on a bank's roster, you'll see how much insurance each bank has on themselves and on other people, other departments. It's one of the biggest ways people make money because you gonna die. And if why y'all think the bank be sending y'all them $10 for free and all that or whatever? Because it's money and insurance. So, you know, that's one way, but there's so many other ways. Mona, you took your mute off. What were you about to say?
I was just about to also say investing also, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you have a business, investing in real estate is a good thing too. Cause I know a lot of people will say, you know, I want to go get my real estate license and be a realtor, but you honestly don't even have to do that. If you have a certain amount of money, you literally can go ahead and get houses and put them on it. I'm just so blown, especially in real estate, in all of these areas where you can actually make money. There is so much ways to make money. Even like I was just about to talk about real estate, wholesaling, you know what I'm saying, or buying houses subject to. There's so many levels to each of these. So I've been kind of delving into real estate, as you can see, of course, but there's things that I haven't even scratched the surface of, like just like how you were talking about cryptocurrency. I'm not even investing in that, but I remember when people was telling me about Bitcoin and I did not pay that any attention. I was like, this don't even sound like it makes sense. One Bitcoin today is the price of a Tesla, bro.
And Simone, let me tell you one other piece to add to that, right? So one of the things about hearing these things is, I don't know about y'all, but sometimes I get that anxiety around it. It's like, oh, is this like a legitimate risk to take, or like, am I gonna lose all my money? You know? So when the Bitcoin conversation got really, really loud, probably about 2 to 3 years ago, I went and put $1,000 off and invested to like different coins, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum. Like I had money invested into it, right? But then it did a huge tank and I got scared. And I was like, I'm about to lose everything I got. I need to take this money out right now before I lose any more of it. And then wasn't paying attention to it. And then here we are back 3 years later. But when I took my money out, Bitcoin was at like $9,000 at its lowest, right? And then now it's at like, just like Simone said, like 33 something thousand dollars. Like, so what I had invested in Bitcoin then would be a monumental amount right now for me, or at least an amount that could afford me the opportunity and the freedom to then go put a down payment on my investment property, or then take that money and do something else with it. But stop being scared. I'm talking to myself right now too, y'all. Like, you cannot be scared out here if you want to build something that your family ain't never seen yet.
Let me jump on that, Julian, because I did the same thing. We had a group of us put some money together. When they had that tank, I was like, yeah, because I was like the face of it because I was kind of learning about it. But the biggest thing I would suggest, anything that you want to do, you have to learn it from like step one all the way up yourself. Somebody can tell you, somebody can, oh, well, people doing certain things, but you need to understand the mechanics of every aspect of that thing before you put your money into it. So it's like, if I understood how the market worked and how this Bitcoin would have progressed, when it took that dump, I would have bought more. But I didn't understand the technology or the actual investment itself enough for you have to be we need to be savvy consumers and savvy investors. You know what I'm saying? So
That's a great segue, Kendrick, because not only should you be savvy, but you should know your tolerance. You should know if you the type of person that every Friday night you getting cheese pizza and a Corona. If you that type of person, then your risk tolerance is fixed. You need to put your money in fixed things. Don't put your money in no variable, because variable is edgy, fun. Y'all jumping off bridges, y'all bungee jumping. That's variable. That's you lose some, you win some. You know what I'm saying? That's how I go. But over time, you're gonna make it back. The market always resets itself every 5 to 7 years. We're gonna have a bear market, we're gonna have a bull market. So if you know that, you know your risk tolerance is, well, I don't want Mr. Cheese Pizza. That give you gas. I don't want Mr. Variable. He gonna break my heart. If you get with an index account and you know, okay, I want steady and flow and grow over time, it's okay if I'm not hitting that 13, 14% a year. If I could get a good 6 to 8, I'm good. If that's the type of person you are, then you're a person that would want to save in an index account because you never lose principal, you never lose interest. So when you know how money grows, it's kind of easier for you to make decisions on where you should put your money. If you a gambler, if you a hardcore gambler, variable is your boo. But if you
Day
kind
trade, baby.
that's your boo.
That's gonna
But
get you.
if you're conservative and you want to see growth and you're okay with it growing like it should, because you're gonna meet it one day. One day I'm 40. One day I'm gonna see my 62 years old ass. I'm gonna see her. And when I see her, I am going to want to be able to not have to work for the rest of my life and be a Walmart greeter or still around here hustling and bustling. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think that just to kind of round it all off, not only should we be savvy, but we should know what our risk tolerance is. If you Google risk tolerance, it'll ask you certain questions, just like your personality, and it'll tell you, okay, you are this type of, you're this type of saver or investor. This is the things that you should consider. So wanted to throw that in there as well.
And Tawana, just to what you said too, like one of the things that I had to start taking into account for myself is one of the properties that I remember every time I go to Vegas, right? You have to legitimize what you would spend on a regular night out or a regular week or a regular weekend and start to deal with that. If you know that you're going to go to the club and you're going to buy 2 drinks and your bill might come out to like $35, take that $35. We're in a pandemic. You can't go to no club right now. Take that $35 and invest it in something. And you know, worst case scenario, that liquor bill was just about to, you know, be your good time for the night. So you weren't going to see that back anyway. So you don't have to be concerned about, oh God, is it going to come back? Am I going to lose this money? Because in your head, it's already been lost. It's just $35 a week. Start there. And I guarantee you it will grow. You know, like every time I go to Vegas, I'm always gambling with the same $40 that I feel like would have been my good time dollars. And then I turn my back with my little, you know, gin and tonic and let them do whatever the rest of they got to do at the table. And I'm out.
Most definitely. Mona, you had something to say?
I think it's very important to, like I said, just find whatever does work for you. Whatever multiple stream of income it could be. And nowadays you can really be creative. Like whatever you do, you can actually put that type of stuff on YouTube and get paid from YouTube for that too. Like seriously, just watching different people from YouTube and seeing all of the other stuff that they do, like that just inspired me. I'm just like, whoa, you do this, that. It's like that's why I keep saying it blows my mind how there's so many ways to make money. Even there's somebody I follow, Noelle Randall, and she's a real estate investor. I just keep hearing her story. Like she goes from broke to a millionaire, seriously. And it's like listening to all of her stories, they're just telling you like there's so many different ways she makes money. I know she's an author. I know she's a real estate investor. She has properties like all over the United States, like seriously. And that's one of my affirmations. Seriously, I say I have properties all over the world because I don't want to even limit it to the United States. It's all over the world. But these places and Airbnb them out, residual income from that. Like it just blows my mind. And then with me personally, I love to travel. So I know each place that I travel to, I would want to have some place to stay because I wouldn't care to go to a hotel. Why not just go stay at one of my Airbnbs? You know what I'm saying? I know it's clean, you know. Of course, I don't know everybody's detail, but sometimes if I have a cleaner, I'll have the cleaner clean it out. I know my place is clean. Like that it's so many ways to make money. Seriously, you just have to go out and search for that information. I mean, even with camera work, like you can get money doing, listen, because I be hustling too. Like you can invest in a camera. You know, a camera's number $200. That's a weekend that your friends want you to go on. Like y'all going on a weekend trip out of town or something like that, or a property cost you $200, invest in a camera. You know what I'm saying? Get on YouTube, learn the camera. Like seriously, YouTube University is the best thing ever. You can learn how to do anything on anything. Fix cars. You want to teach classes, how to start schools, like how to fix computers, how to fix phones and make extra. All of these things are giving you the information that you need, like almost to the fact that college is kind of going to be low-key obsolete in a while for some people, because people are still going to go to college because that's just the thing. It's all about status quo. And that's really what a lot of people are worried about. But I really feel like if you're not going to go to school to be like a doctor or something like that, YouTube University for free, quit playing. Like, seriously, anything that you want, you can find somebody who's doing it, lock in with them, and I'm seriously learn anything from them. Like, honestly, there's people that's giving out classes and seminars on how to increase your growth on these social media platforms that will pay you for all of these videos and stuff like that. Seriously, I'm telling you, I've actually seen it with my own eyes, and you can tell. Like, a lot of people were thinking that I was getting money because I had so many views on my Facebook videos, but that was before they did all of those monetizing. But I should have kept all of my footage. I should have kept it all on YouTube. I have so many views from there. I remember one of the first videos that had like over like 4,000 views, which really isn't a lot, but that's a lot if you,
That's enough.
I'm saying like that.
It's more than zero.
That's more than one.
Come on.
Right, exactly.
This thing got 70,000 views. Like, that's a lot. Like, the average person can't pull in those type of views, like, for real. And I'm just like, my only thing is just not being consistent with that. But I ain't gonna go down that rabbit hole. But still, I do so much things, like, seriously. And again, whatever you do, you can put it on YouTube. You can write books and sell it. Man, oh my gosh, like, there is seriously so, like, you can do people's laundry and get paid for that. Like, you can oh my god, like,
rent
even
your car out to, what is it, Turo?
yeah, like, and then the thing about it, even with your business can pay for that stuff. You can write those things off as a tax write-off, and you get that money right back. Like, honestly, now we're living in this time where we have to realize that America is built on basically like business and war. Seriously. So if you're not a business in America right now, you're gonna be just average. You know what I'm saying? The person that really wants to live life and live life to the fullest how they want to live it, they're gonna honestly have to go out and get it themselves, because it's really not about how much money you can make. It's really about the freedom. Because if you're making all this money, but you got to clock in every week, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't really give you freedom to do whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying, like, several streams of income that you can manage, that you can bring in. You don't have to answer to anybody. You just see that money coming in. As long as all of your bills are paid, you're good. So that's my little spill.
No spill. Good stuff, Moni. Good stuff. Well, we coming up on the hour, guys. I think this was jammed, packed with valuable information, from Kendrick starting it off with generational wealth to Junie kind of rounded it out with real estate. Moni telling us about multiple streams of income because she is a hustler like Rick Ross. Okay. And me talking about insurance and financial services. So those are just some of the things. We're going to definitely, in the future shows, we're going to continue to have this conversation, because repetition is necessary in order for us to learn and retain. Anybody got anything else to say, guys, before we chuck the deuces on these folks?
The one thing I just want to leave everyone with is generational wealth. If you don't feel like you already have it, it's got to start somewhere, and why not let it start with you?
Right. And real quick, to kind of piggyback of something that Simone said about the consistency, I think that's probably one, after you do your research, that's your next step, the consistency of your strategy. Because you're not, compound interest works pretty fast, but you have to understand it, and it takes time. And a lot of instant gratification.
Stimmy.
Yeah.
Stimmy.
Right, but that's kind of like the jump off. Instant gratification.
I need my stimulus check.
But yeah, stay consistent with.
Let me tell y'all this quick joke. This girl was in we was in Blue Note, and this girl, when I tell y'all, she ordered, black girl, she ordered must be 10 drink. And I was like, you getting all them drinks? Guess what she said to me? Stimmy.
Yeah. Look at him.
That's our people.
So,
that's our people.
And that's why generational wealth is so important.
And you buy 10 shots? Girl, what's wrong with you? So yeah, anyway, Great conversation, guys. We will see y'all next time. Who gonna do the Hey Cousin?
Hey,
Hey,
cousin.
cousin.